first, according to a new facial skincare report, almost half of us have experienced adult acne at least once.
And although it may be dismissed as a vanity problem, researchers have also found that people struggling with these breakouts not only suffer physically, but also mentally too.
Well, to shed more light, we're joined by skincare expert Dr. George Moncrief, along with acne sufferer Lexi Jenkinson. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. How are you? First of all, let's start off by what is acne?
Gosh, I think everybody knows what acne is, but it's a miserable condition for some people because it's so disfiguring, it can be disfiguring, and it's on the face typically, the part of your body that everybody sees. And so if you're going for an interview or looking for a new relationship or whatever, it's the first thing that people notice. So it's devastating from that point of view.
But there's different types, isn't there? It can be broken down.
Yes, there are. It tends to occur on the oily parts of the body, so on the face, across the shoulders and occasionally down the back, as well as sometimes on the front of the chest.
Right.
And it can be anything from just open comedones, which are blackheads, where the grease has become a bit thicker and increased in quantity, and it just blocks the pores. So you get these little blackheads. But then when anything gets blocked, it becomes inflamed behind that, bacteria grow. You can get pimples, which are sort of red bumps, but then they rapidly can turn into pustules with a whitehead, sometimes called a closed comedone. And then they can progress from that into a larger nodule of inflammation, which is painful. And if it's really severe, cysts and things like that, and abscesses and scars. It can be really, really unpleasant.
Yeah.
Are we typically, George, we sort of correlate acne or bad spots to teenage years, to puberty, going through that sort of hormonal change, not necessarily in adult life. What is it that causes acne and why would it affect people at different ages?
Well, the main driver are androgens, which are male hormones, things like testosterone, and women do make them, and their skin is more sensitive to the low levels of androgens that they make. And that's what drives that production of grease and sebum that's starting off the whole process and blocking the pore. And so androgen surges around puberty is what tends to start acne off, and it's most severe in teenagers, most common in teenagers, affecting up to 95% of men, up to the age of about 19. But it's not uncommon at all in adult life. Probably about 1 in 4 women in their 40s still have acne, 1 in 3 women in their 30s still have acne, and 1 in 2 women in their 20s have acne. So it's a condition that does go on a lot longer. It's not just, you can say, when you get out of your teens, it'll magically clear. And as in Lexi's case, we'll hear about it, it can start in adult life as well.
Hi, Lexi.
Hello.
I actually had a similar thing. I had bad skin when I was a teenager, then it cleared up, and then in my 20s, it was so strange, it came back, and it made me feel... I was working on TV shows at the time, and I used to get there before everybody else arrived in the morning because I didn't want anybody to see me without makeup on. And in the end, I ended up taking Roaccutane for it, and it helped it out. But it was so... How did yours first flare up?
So I was about 20 and I changed my contraception and it just erupted. So I never had it as a teenager.
You didn't?
No, so I had clear skin as a teenager and then all of a sudden at 20, I just got really bad acne and it was terrible really because in your 20s, that's when you want to go out, you want to wear lots of makeup.
But also that's a really peculiar time to suddenly be affected by it. That must have been really distressing.
I think also because I didn't have it as a teenager, you're like, oh, well, what's wrong with me now then? Why all of a sudden at 20 years old have I got acne?
So did you ever find out what the catalyst was for it? Like, what caused it to flare up?
I think, personally, it was probably to do with the hormonal contraception that I was on at the time.
Right.
And then they changed it and it got better, and then I came off that and it got worse again. So it's kind of been a battle for like 7 years, really.
Because that can sometimes help, because before I took Roaccutane, they tried to put me on something, the birth control that would affect your skin and try and make it better, but it didn't work for me.
See, yeah, it did work for me, and then they took me off it because they said that I'd been on it for too long.
Right.
And then, and then my acne came back, so...
How does it make you feel?
Oh, it's absolutely horrible. It destroys your confidence completely. So, yeah, you don't want to go out, you don't want to see anyone, you want to cancel all your plans.
And it's any time where you're not wearing makeup as well. So it's like things like summer holidays. It's like all those type of times. And does it flare up more in the summer too?
Do you know what? I think because I try and cover it up quite a lot.
Yeah.
So because you're caking your face in makeup, and then obviously you can't breathe, like your face can't breathe, it probably does flare up. I recently just went on holiday and it sort of settled down a bit, but I didn't wear as much makeup. So, but yeah, typically, I suppose.
You've started posting about your condition and what's been going on. What's been the response that you've had from people?
Unbelievable. I've only had the account for less than 2 months and it's just completely blown up. And I think a lot of people have said how much it's helped them feel less alone. And that's quite something. And even for myself, it's made me feel less alone. So, yeah, it's been unbelievable.
George, let's talk a little bit, because there are options, and I know, I'm sure that Lexi has worked through a few. Kat's mentioned her Accutane, which is quite an extreme option, but it does have an effect. She used it, I've had it. I had very awful... When I started university, I hadn't had too bad skin through my teenage years. At university, suddenly my skin went crazy.
Yeah.
And it was her Accutane that helped me, but fortunately we were able to get some back then. God, we're talking decades ago now.
Yeah.
Just explain a little bit about what that is.
Accutane is a vitamin A-like product. It's been around for 40 years. I used to prescribe it when I was working in hospital 40 years ago. And I prescribed this as a GP until I retired. The rules have changed dramatically now. In fact, that's very unusual as a GP to be prescribing it. I probably coordinated 700 courses. And I think it's a wonder drug. I really do, as your experience has shown. But it's got to be used carefully, it's got to be used properly, it's got some significant side effects and problems, and you've really got to monitor it very carefully. But 85% of patients who have a course of Accutane never have another spot.
Yes.
And that's in your case, it leaves you with a lovely complexion, no more doctor's appointments, no more antibiotics, no more spots. Your skin is cured. So it is a wonderful drug when it's used properly and carefully and it works. So it's really remarkable.
It's hard to get hold of, though, isn't it, Lexi? That's one of the issues.
Yeah, super hard. I mean, I've been waiting for my phone call for about 2 months. I haven't even had the phone call with the dermatologist yet.
Wow.
But a lot of the girls on my TikTok are saying they've been waiting over 2 years, some of them. So, yeah, it's definitely a long waiting list.
The rules have got a lot more stringent very recently. Some rules have been from the MHRA, who the body who license products, have made the rules much tighter. And the dermatologists in the country are very upset by that, and it is making it more difficult for them to prescribe. But they are absolutely inundated with referrals, and it's a long, long time for people to be seen. I think you've been so brave to have done what you've done.
Very much so.
And I think you're doing a tremendous amount for the community. You really are.
Thank you.
But clearly what you need, I think, is Accutane. But there's a lot more we could discuss. I mean, there's contraception that makes acne worse, and there's contraception that treats acne. And so there are treatments that really, really work very well, but there's so much more to discuss, from diet to topical treatments that can be used, rebalancing the microbiome with products that contain philobioma, for example. There's so much that can be done for acne, even before you get to see a dermatologist.
And I'm sure you've tried loads of those different things, Lexi, over the years.
I've tried a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Well, you know what we would love to have you do is come back again and talk to us a little bit more, because, as you said, Dr. George, there's so many more different avenues that you could try too.
There's so much to untangle here as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
And Lexi, thank you so much for coming on the
you're
show
welcome.
and for being so
Thank
brave, because we do know what it's like. So thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Oh, hello. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning. Right, we've got an interesting story for you here that will, if you're a parent, make you gasp and then breathe a big sigh of relief. Last week, two brothers, 22-year-old Matthew and 18-year-old Andrew Forster, went missing whilst on holiday in Bali.
The pair had set off to climb a 10,000-foot volcano in the jungle, but got lost. And with no phone battery to call for help, they were left stranded.
However, thanks to skills they learned from watching adventurer Bear Grylls over the years as young lads watching the telly, the pair were able to survive and were rescued 40 hours later. It's an extraordinary story. Matthew and Andrew join us here now alongside their mum, Catherine. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
Catherine, we'll come to you in just a bit. As a parent with a son who's travelling around at the moment, this was the sort of story that strikes fear into your heart, because I know that my Sam climbed up a couple of the volcanoes and a couple of the hills in Bali as well. Matthew, let's start. Just explain a little bit why the two of you were over there in the first place.
So we went over. We're doing nine weeks travelling Southeast Asia from Vietnam and Thailand, and we wanted to end our trip in Bali because our dad was Australian and that's where he grew up. We wanted to go see some of the places where he would have spent his summer holidays.
Yes.
And you've just finished university, haven't you?
Yes.
And you've just finished your A-levels.
Yeah.
So it was a great excuse for the two of you to go away together and do a little bit of travelling and exploring before the next stage of your lives.
Exactly, yeah.
And you had a very romantic notion of climbing to the top of the volcano, seeing the sunrise.
Yeah, watching.
Did you do any other planning for this trip?
No, not. The planning was where it all went. Nowhere near enough planning. Didn't research into getting a guide. Didn't know that the path we'd chosen was actually closed to the public for years. So
For years?
yeah, it had been closed for years.
Because the one thing, because obviously I immediately phoned my son and said, did you climb this there? And he said, we didn't climb the volcano, you did. And what he was saying was there's quite a lot of well-trodden routes up this volcano, Andrew, quite a lot of tourists. It wasn't unusual that you were trying to climb the volcano, was it?
No, it wasn't. But we'd gone to the wrong side. I think everyone's on the west side, all these tour groups that go up. And we're at the foot on the south side, and we look and we see these lights on the volcano, and we think, oh, there's some tour groups. We're going to go on our route, and we're going to maybe meet them at the top. But no, we didn't get so lucky.
It was an app. You were following an app, weren't you?
Yeah.
So the app was out of date as well?
Yeah, well, the app was showing, there were comments on it saying, oh, you can go with a guide, but we didn't know this and we didn't see it.
So, Matthew, at what point, so you think you're following the app, you think you're doing the right thing, you think you can see other tourists.
Yeah.
At what point did you start to go, actually, we're in a bit of trouble here? I know that the battery went dead on your phone.
Yeah. I'd probably say about 2 hours into the hike, so about 4:30 in the morning, I remember we turned and we were like, should we turn back now? And because it had also started to rain on the way up, and we decided to push on, keep going up, because the jungle was getting thinner.
Yes.
And because we'd just come through the most horrendous part. And because we'd seen those tour lights going up before, we were like, oh, well, we'll surely meet them at the top. And we naively assumed that the top of the volcano would be flat and we'd be able to walk around and meet the others. But when we got to the top, it was completely sheer terrain, covered in cloud, couldn't see more than 20 metres ahead of us. And then that's when our phones decided to die. So it was at the worst point, really.
So at that point, what went through your mind and what was the conversation that happened between the two of you?
There was a very long conversation then on what do we do now. I was adamant that the best course of action would be to try and scale the terrain around the top and wait for the next morning where another tour would come up for sunrise.
Yeah.
Andrew was...
I wanted to go down and try plough through the jungle.
The way you'd just come?
Yeah, the way we
Yeah,
come.
yeah.
And so in the end, you decided you were going to follow that. That was the idea that you
Yeah, we kind of went for a blend of...
Yeah, about maybe 2 hours after we reached the top, the rain, we started chucking it down, and it revealed a river along the rocks, so we decided to, follow it downstream.
And that's a tip that you got from Bear Grylls, right?
Yeah.
Where would you learn? Where would you heard that? Did you remember?
Just growing up, watching Bear Grylls with our dads, and he was a scout leader, so we'd done, camps and stuff before. It was one of the things where just always follow a river downstream if you're lost, because that's where, civilization will be, people will be there. And as we did go down, the further down, we did end up hearing chainsaws in the distance. They couldn't hear our, shouts for help, but just hearing humans, it gave us hope.
Yeah.
So.
And then, unbeknownst to you, you've got a friend, Sarah.
Yeah.
Was she travelling in Vietnam, is that right?
Yeah, we met her in Vietnam.
Right. So then she lost contact with you. So then did she call you, Catherine?
Yes, so they had been in touch with her when they'd been going up, and luckily they'd sent screenshots of this app with this route that they were on, and she lost contact with them at 2 a.m. UK time. She was in Sweden. She couldn't get hold of them the whole of the next day. This was Wednesday.
Right.
I knew nothing about this. That night, she reported them missing to the embassy, and I was oblivious. And 6 o'clock the following morning, by which time nothing been heard from them for 30 hours, I tried to call them and I couldn't. And then I looked on Find My Phone and I saw they would last 2 days ago up a mountain. But even then, I wasn't that worried. And then a friend of theirs managed to get hold of me, and I spoke to her, and she told me, and I said, well, tell me they were with a guide. And she was like, they weren't with a guide. And I told them to turn round, and she said, but I've reported them missing. And then I was straight on the phone to the Foreign Office. And then I sort of put a collective voice note on a WhatsApp group of my local friends, and our local friends just dropped everything, came to my house. Their kids started putting out messages, which went to hostels in Bali, and like an army, basically, to
start trying to track you down.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, the two of you had to make a shelter because it was nighttime now.
Yeah, so the night we just followed the river down until the sun had set, and then it became too dangerous to proceed because it was really slippery. And I actually had a bad fall, which fortunately didn't break anything. But we ended up just having to sleep on the side of the river, just padded down some leaves, freezing cold. Like, we spent the night cuddled together because it was so cold. And the next day...
How scary was it?
It was scary. When we fell, that was really scary. But I think the biggest fear was knowing what everyone at home was going through, because we were alive. We knew we were alive and not injured. But obviously, everyone at home was fearing the worst.
So how were you essentially found in the end?
We'd just been coming down the mountain. We'd been shouting, help, help, help us. And say around 6 o'clock, so about half an hour before the sunset, we hear noises from the woods, and it's the rescue team, and
What was that moment like?
I didn't want to call it too early,
Yeah.
but Matthew was...
I was like, oh, we're going to make it home for Mum's birthday. And, like, Andrew was like, don't say that yet. We're not off just yet. But it was really special when they shouted to us. They're like, you two boys are very, very... And they were, like, looking for it. I was like, stupid. They're, like, extremely stupid.
Yes.
They'd got stuck at the river had gone, and they were stuck at the top of a big drop.
It was like a waterfall.
So they'd made like a base, and they'd put SOS, but the next morning, because it was just getting dark, they'd have had to try to get through the jungle, but the guys that got to them were literally hacking through the jungle.
So they had machetes to get through.
Well, they were saying you were very, very stupid, but you were also very smart because you remembered everything that Bear Grylls said.
Yeah.
We actually have a message from Bear Grylls for you guys now. Take a look at this.
I'm so happy, so proud that you made it out in one piece. Good for you. What an experience you've been through. But key lessons for people to learn, that if you ever find yourself just going out for a hike and get lost, is always to remember, first of all, tell somebody where you're going and when you're due back. And secondly, always take a hard copy of a map. Even if it's just take a screenshot and then print it out quickly, just so you've got something that's not electronic. But above all, I think the reason you guys made it out is you have each other. And that is so valuable. I've learnt in terms of survival, 1 + 1 in survival is different to normal maths. It doesn't equal 2, it equals about 5 or 6. I'm so proud of you guys, well done.
There you go.
Take a map.
Big relief.
Yeah,
Take a map.
Have they started talking about going away again yet, Catherine?
We're actually going to Australia at the end of July because my husband died a couple of years ago. We're going to put his ashes in the ocean.
You won't be letting them out this time?
Yeah, you're going together. It's a team. It's a team.
Boys, we're very, very relieved
We are.
that you're here to tell the tale and share those sort of warning signs.
Yeah,
Do
he's
some
smashing,
research.
lads.
Yeah.
Don't do that to your mum again.
Take a guide. Hard copy of maps as well. Oh, it's great to have you here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having us.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out, and we'll see you in the morning. As the summer holidays approach, we all want to make sure we're looking our best on the beach.
And that's how ex-fitness influencer Alice Leaving garnered over 500,000 followers on Instagram.
But almost 10 years later, Alice is now warning people that her so-called healthy lifestyle was actually making her ill.
And she's releasing her new book, Give Me Strength, and Alice joins us now in the studio. Good morning to you, Alice. Lovely to meet you.
Hello.
So I guess if we go back, you were one of the first fitfluencers, as they were calling influencers who were really into fitness online.
That's right. And, you know, I started 10 years ago, as you said, so it was a long time ago, and the word influencer didn't really even exist at the time. So I started off this online food diary, just kind of wanted to share what I was eating and how I was approaching this, what I thought was a lifestyle change, and just so happened to kind of garner this audience of people that connected with what I was doing. But I guess as it continued and as you said, you know, I sort of started to realise that actually what I thought was this healthy lifestyle pursuit actually wasn't so healthy in itself.
And it was a huge number of people. When you talk about this audience that you had, it was a huge number of people. And you were kind of projecting, you were putting out recipes and lifestyle choices, but you were actually exhausted too. You were training so much.
I think that's the thing. I think, you know, when it comes to pursuing a healthy lifestyle, we all start out with best intentions. You want to eat well, you want to move your body, and there's nothing wrong with those things. But I think that as many people, and I've spoken to so many women across the years who kind of go down the same path where you start to get a little bit connected to doing more and then doing more. And what we know about health and fitness is more doesn't always equal better. You can do too much exercise. You can eat too little to fuel your body. And so understanding that there is that tipping point, you know, yes, those things matter, but actually going too far with them can actually take you in the opposite direction.
So your account, Clean Eating Alice, was hugely popular, as we said. But how bad did it get? Because I've looked back at some of your bits and pieces that you were posting, and there are Instagrammers and there's fitfluencers, as they're called now, that look very similar. I mean, you can see you on the left there. You're looking strong, you're looking athletic, but you're a fraction of the size of the person on the right, who you're saying is a much healthier, much happier person.
I think that's right. And, you know, we mustn't take how someone looks as a kind of connection to how they actually are operating health-wise. So in the photo on the left, I actually didn't have a menstrual cycle. And that was something that I lost as a result of my body being under too much stress and struggling with the amount of exercise that I was doing and also just not eating enough to fuel my body. And I think that we must realise that, you know, finding a place that's in the middle. Yes, exercise matters. I'm sat here as a personal trainer and I'm obviously going to tell you that moving your body is important and that's a crucial part of the book. But also doing it in a healthy and a sustainable way for the long term. You know, I want people that come to me to train for the rest of their life, not just to look good on the beach this summer. And so it's about trying to give people reasons to connect to exercise in a healthy and positive way that doesn't mean that they fall into the mistakes that I did when I was in that place.
I think it's also to get a perspective on Instagram and posts as well, and social media in general. When you see just one snapshot of a picture, you have no idea of all of the infrastructure that's going on around it. I mean, you were ill and you were kind of almost feeding off these likes from people.
I think that's right. And I think, look, I look at that time and I realise that it was such a wider context of lots of people doing the same thing. And a lot of these behaviours, sadly, being incredibly normalised, also validated. I'm sure anyone knows and can attest to the fact that if you lose a bit of weight, the first thing that people say to you is, oh, you look amazing, you look great. And that can be really nice. And suddenly when you start hearing that a lot, it kind of feeds into that nice, happy feeling of validation. And so you continue those behaviours. But I guess the reality is that you're right. Instagram is never the full picture. We all need to take it with a pinch of salt. And, you know, I started my page when I was 22. I was really young. I made mistakes, and haven't we all? And I've gone on a journey over the last however many years to learn to do better. And I've taken my audience on that journey with me, and I'm grateful for the fact that there are so many people who've actually connected with what I've done and who feel very similarly to how I am. I said in the book, you know, I don't see myself as unique. In fact, I speak to so many women who have the exact same story as me and who are trying to find peace with their bodies, not to feel as though every day they look in the mirror and go, I hate myself, or punishing their body through exercise, or, you know, constantly feeling that Monday is a day that they've got to start back on that diet bandwagon. All of these things are things that I think women connect to. And I've just tried to use my experience and my expertise as a trainer, now 10 years in the industry, into the book and really helping women to do things differently.
If you create that profile, you create that following, though, and you are living that lifestyle, you're creating an income as well. So you were earning money off what you were now doing. Was there concern when you shifted and you realised this is making me ill? I could lose my profile. I could lose the fact that I can pay my mortgage and pay my bills because my business is going to have to change.
I think it's a great question, and there has to be accountability with what has come before. I sit here as someone who's tried to very much own the fact that I got it wrong. And there is no part of me that doesn't feel that that is a really important thing to say. But I also think that I look at that time and as it being part of a really difficult time for lots of people who were doing very similar things. And I realised that life is about learning to do better. And I've always tried to be now authentic, transparent, and honest. And if you're that to people and you give them honesty and you take them on that journey with you, you'll find that people can really then connect to what you're saying and find some similarity between what I went through and what they are going through too. So I think that's been really important, and that's been at the heart of my journey. And the book is I guess, lifting the lid on a lot of that stuff and trying to say, look, I could have done better, and here's how. And actually, because of what I've gone through, here's how I think that things can change for the better.
Well, look, Alice's book, Give Me Strength, How She Turned Her Back on Restriction, Nurtured the Body That She Loves and How You Can Do It Too, is available right now.
Thanks, Alice. It's a really brave move, actually, and I've got a niece, and I think that's a really good thing to tell girls and other women too. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Oh, hello. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.
Our next guest used to look like this. And since getting her first tattoo at 15, Becky Holt now looks like this.
Amazing.
Very glamorous.
After going under the needle hundreds of times, Becky now believes she is the most tattooed woman, and mum, in fact, in Britain. More than 95% of her skin is now covered in ink, including most of her intimate areas too.
And Becky joins us now to tell us more. Good morning,
Hi, guys.
Becky.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much for coming on, and in a bikini, no less. But it's like, tell us about where this fascination started. When did you get your first tattoo?
So I was always into body modification from a young age. I just sort of thought it was like really cool, and I liked how different it was, and I liked people that like stood out and stuff. And so I had my first tattoo when I was 15 years old.
Okay.
It was not a wise decision. I had my boyfriend's name tattooed directly across my crotch. Obviously, that doesn't exist anymore. But that's when the obsession like really started.
Because you split up with that boyfriend, so then
oh yeah. I broke up with him, and I carried on getting tattooed. But I used to look at the women on Bazaar magazine. They were always dressed like heavily in latex, and they were like these models. They were pin-ups. They looked gorgeous, and I just thought that's what I, want to be. I want to be one of these tattoo models. And I did actually get the cover in 2014.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's funny because we showed that picture of what you used to look like, and you smiled. I don't know if you can see that again back. What do you think when you look back?
That it's not me.
Yeah.
It just doesn't look anything like me. I've had loads of surgery and I've had obviously lots of tattoo work done. So when I look at that picture, it's not me.
What was Becky back then like? And how did she compare to the Becky that we're meeting?
Becky back then was a nightmare. No, she was wild.
Right.
I'm not wild anymore. A little bit.
So interestingly, as you've tattooed your body and you've had the surgery that you're talking about, that sort of calmed you down a little bit?
I think having a child is what calmed me down.
Oh,
yes.
Children will do that.
Yeah, they
Babies will do
tend
that.
to do that.
But you say that you love tattoos. Aesthetically, you love the look of them. And I have to say,
thank you.
It's really pretty.
It's like a frame.
It is.
Yeah, really
it's
arresting.
really pretty around your face. But you hate having them done.
Oh, it's horrible having them done. They're so painful, and I'm totally, like, past it now. Like, I'm bored of it. I've sat for hundreds of hours. And also, I'm updating them. I'm tattooing over the tattoos I've already got. So that's scar tissue. So when you're tattooing over scar tissue, it's so much more painful.
Oh, is
so,
it?
yeah, I tend to numb them now. I've earned my stripes. I just numb them to try and get it over. You still feel it. You still feel a bit of pain with it. But, yeah, it's long sessions, long days, lots of time, lots of effort. And then the process after. It's painful afterwards.
Recovery.
Yeah, and then it's itchy for, like, 3 weeks afterwards as well. Like, I've got one brand new one at my thigh at the moment that's really itchy. But, yeah, it's worth it. It's worth the pain. It's worth the process.
Can we get you to stand up? Because
Yeah,
you're
of course
like
you can.
a sort of work of art, all of you, and you can get
Wow.
sort of a
Would
sense...
you like me to do a little spin?
Yeah, please
Do you mind?
Yeah.
No, of course not.
Sorry, Becky.
It's extraordinary.
Wow.
And as Kat was saying, I mean, we can see the tattoos we can see, but there's some parts of your body, the more intimate parts of your body, that you've had tattooed as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
What made you want to do that?
Oh, God, it just stuck out. You could see
Because
it.
it was the bit that wasn't.
Yeah, so where my... Can I say...
Yes, of course you can.
Where my vagina is,
Yes.
basically, or my lady area.
Yes.
It was tattooed right down to the lip.
Right.
And then you could just see the lip.
Right.
And it really stuck out, so I was like, I'm going to have to tattoo it. So it took 3 sessions.
And this was you looking at, because, I mean, not everyone's going to get to see that
No,
part
of course,
you,
it's
so...
just like, this is my suit. I don't really do it for anybody else.
Right.
It's me, and it's
Yes.
my tattoos for me. And so when I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and obviously I used to model as well, and it just stuck out for me. I saw it and I said, I need to tattoo that. So, yeah, I ended up having it tattooed.
So can I ask you, what was the process like? Because I was looking on your Instagram, and obviously you've had so many done.
Yeah.
And when you're looking and you're getting it done at that time, which you don't see.
No,
anything,
you can't.
like,
You can't show that on Insta.
But you look in so much pain.
Yeah, no, it's horrific. It is awful. It took 3 sessions. The first one was an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Which is just the line work. And then a couple of weeks later, I went back and had the colour done on one side. And then a few weeks later, I went and had the colour on the other side. It was horrific. Like, it's just ripping, burning, not nice at all. Horrible.
And you said before when we were asking you about it and the whole process, you were saying it burns and then it itches and it lasts for days. Like, how do you pee and things?
It was okay. It was just swollen and it was just, you know, you just have to be careful. A little bit stingy, but it actually healed really quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess the skin there's a little bit different.
Yes.
Right.
So it did heal a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Becky, was it worth it?
Yeah, totally. It looks amazing.
Does it?
Do you want to see? I'm joking. I'm joking.
The late night version of this morning is available later.
We're back to the word again. Looking at you, as you say, the hours and hours you spent under the tattooist needle is extraordinary. What about the cost? Because tattoos aren't cheap, particularly some of the really extraordinary art you've got.
Yeah, so they're worth about 30k.
So I think about 30,000 value.
30
and is that
grand.
what you've had to spend on them?
I've been sponsored. I've been very lucky. So a lot of tattoo artists have wanted to work with me because of my following and for like my name in the tattoo industry. I go to conventions and stuff, and people know who I am as I'm the most tattooed woman and stuff like that. So yeah, it's great for them to be tattooed. Sorry, for them to tattoo me.
Right. OK, so they get some PR from it as well.
Yeah. Is there anything you wouldn't get tattooed? And is there anything you want to do more?
So at the moment, I'm just updating everything that I've got, all the existing work. The things that I wouldn't do is basically go any more on my face. I'm happy with how I look with my face. I don't want to do my eyeballs or anything like that.
Sounds awful, because you have to go blind, right?
Yeah, I know a girl in Australia who's had it done, and she went blind for 3 weeks, and I just think about that and I think, no.
As a result of the tattoo?
Yeah, for 3 weeks she was blind. She's had it done again. Since then, she's gone back and had it redone. She originally had them blue, now she's got them black. And I do think it looks cool, like visually, when I look at girls that have got them tattooed, I think, oh, that's really, really cool. I just won't do it to myself. Sure. Yeah, not up for it.
And you've got a daughter, a little girl. What does... I mean, I know she's little, but what does she make of it? And what is it sort of... You know, if she was to ever turn around and say, Mum, I think I fancy getting a tattoo, is that something you'd encourage?
I mean, she loves them. She's really interested. When my friends come round that have got tattoos, she's like, oh, you've got tattoos. We put little transfers on her as well.
Right.
So she's interested. And, yeah, if she wants to get tattooed when she's older, I'll tell her she can, but she has to go to somebody that I choose.
Yes.
Really good. I don't want her to make the mistakes that I did as a young...
No boyfriends' names.
No boyfriends' names at all. No symbols of languages that you don't actually know what they are.
Yeah.
Things like that.
I've got a mate from school who's got one of those. Yeah,
I've had them as
he
well.
thought it was something else, and it wasn't what he thought.
We've all been there.
And what's been the most painful for you?
Oh, the palm.
Really?
My palm was honestly, single-handedly, the most painful experience of my life. It was this bit here. It was just so unbearable. I cried my eyes out. I had to stop, and I was like, I can't believe I'm actually shedding tears of real pain. But then I went back and had more done. So, you know, it didn't hurt that much.
And are there any that you really, like, despise? Because we were chatting about it earlier this morning, and we were saying, would you ever... Because we've both not got
any.
And mine was because I could never figure out what I would want to have forever, and I'd want to change my mind. And it's a woman's prerogative to do that. And have you got any that
I mean, I don't particularly like my hands, but then I don't like my hands before they were tattooed. Do you know if you've got a part of your body that you just don't like? Mine's my hands. I don't like my hands. So I had this, like, sort of floral decoration, and then across it says, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned." Now, I'm not religious in the slightest, and I think I just made a decision when I was quite young to have them done. And when I look at other tattoos on people's hands now, I'm like, oh, I wish I had that. That would look much better. But then it's the process of lasering it off. It takes too long. It's very, very painful. So I'm just sort of, I'll finish everything else, and then maybe I'll sort them out.
What do you say to people who say, "Oh gosh, look, you look amazing, Becky," but as you get a bit older? What's it going to look like as you get a bit older and your skin's not quite as taut and as firm? And
I feel like I'll look really interesting when I'm older and I'm in a home. I think that the people that work at the home would far rather speak to me than the people that don't have tattoos, because I'll have an interesting story to tell.
Yeah.
But I'm not bothered, you know. I'm living for the moment right now. I don't really care what I look like when I'm 60.
No.
You know, maybe I'll regret it, who knows?
Amazing.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank
It's so good
you,
to meet you
Beth.
both.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely fascinating. Oh, hello. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.
Eric Sprade has changed his appearance over the years so much that he's now called the Lizard Man.
To find out what it cost and what scales. Thank you. He'll go to speak to him now. Eric!
Oh my goodness, Eric, how are you? Good morning.
How's it going, Eric?
I'm good. Good morning to you too.
Oh my God, I'll be honest with you, it has actually taken my breath away just even looking at you, babes. You look incredible. So how long has this...
I love stunned silence. I love stunned silence.
It literally is. Do you get that a lot everywhere you go then?
I do get it quite a bit. I very often cause people to pause, do double takes. You know, I'm not proud of it, but I have caused a couple of traffic accidents over the years.
Oh dear, oh my goodness, I hope they're all right.
Yeah. Fortunately, no one seriously hurt that I'm aware of.
Oh, that's good news. OK, well, listen, I always think this has to stem from a situation, something that's happened to you. What was it that made you decide, I want to be the Lizard Man?
Yeah.
There must have been something. Did you have a dream? Did you wake up looking at a lizard? Did a lizard come into your bed? There's got to be a moment as to why this happened.
I know everybody wants the movie moment. Everybody wants the movie moment, and you know, I just like to say I was told I could be whatever I wanted to be when I grew up, and I took that very seriously.
So you
just
took that
nobody expected
literally.
me to choose to be Lizard Man. Yeah, you know, it's hard to break it down to a movie moment, but I had a lot of different ideas that came together, and the way that they came together ended up in this. It really started off from an interest in performance and conceptual art that I started exploring when I got to college.
And did you like lizards? Were you a reptile fan as a kid?
I've always enjoyed a reptilian aesthetic. Godzilla, big fan of Godzilla. And I became a fan of the way that reptiles cross all cultures and throughout history. No matter where you go, there's either a tale of a lizard man or a reptilian. You've got the world serpent. You've got the serpent in the Garden of Eden. Reptiles occupy a very special place in human consciousness. And as an artist, it was something that I felt that I could, you know, honestly exploit to my own advantage.
Sure.
But as an artist, you could do that in a day. You could dress up as a lizard. You decided to do this permanently. This is no joke. I mean, you've had your tongue lasered to separate your tongue. How much did that cost you to do that?
Well, fortunately, the doctor who did it, I actually designed the procedure and brought it to him.
What?
And he was willing to do it on me as the guinea pig. This was back in 1997. And at the time, he only charged me the costs of, you know, his use of his surgical theater, which was about $600 at the time.
And so how much pain was you in? How long did it take you to recover from that?
Right, so my tongue being split wasn't actually all that painful because they did give me a shot of lidocaine. But what I found interesting was I could taste and smell my own burning tongue as the laser went through it.
Oh, my goodness.
The swelling was so severe that it took about a week for the swelling to go down to the point where I could speak or eat normally.
Was it worth it, though? Was it worth it?
Oh, absolutely. Worth it. This is my legacy now, frankly. In the body modification community, I've sort of established this procedure and helped move it forward. You know, basically, people who have split tongues now very often cite me as a reference point. They maybe saw me, you know, 20-some years ago or more, and it inspired them.
Eric, did you have to learn how to speak again after getting your tongue lasered? Like, did it alter how you spoke and how long it took to kind of be able to kind of enunciate?
There was a little bit of a learning curve at the beginning, but surprisingly, it was a very natural thing for me to, if I needed my tongue to function as just one tongue again, all I have to do is kind of hold it together and use it like I used to. That happened pretty naturally. But when I had my teeth filed down to points, I had trouble hitting the backs of my teeth to do like t-t-t-t-t and sounds.
Wow.
So there was a slight lisp there that I had to learn to practice to touch my tongue to the roof of my mouth. It's a little trick that a friend of mine who's a speech pathologist taught me.
Right.
And I know you're married to your lovely wife. What does she think about that tongue?
I often say that my wife has plenty of complaints, but my tongue is not one of them.
I didn't hear the answer because you were looking at me. What did you say? she like, OK, do you know what? You don't need to say any more. You really don't need to say any more.
Really glad you asked that again now.
Tell me about the implants on your forehead as well.
Right.
Tell me a bit about that.
Well, I've got 5 pieces of Teflon implanted over each eye to create horned ridges. The procedure took about 6 hours. It was done without anesthetic. And as a result, it's the only time in my life that I've vomited and hallucinated as a result of pain.
Really? Oh, my God, you poor thing. But, you know, this is what you wanted. I mean, there's been
You gotta suffer for your art.
I mean, it's given you a career, hasn't it, Eric? It's changed your life, really, this has, hasn't it?
Absolutely. This is my dream. You know, when I first sort of had this idea, or, you know, the ideas that started to form this, and they started to come together, I didn't think this was going to be an opportunity. This was more of a pipe dream. But things came together in about the mid-90s. I ended up joining the Jim Rose Circus for a couple of years, then going solo. I've hosted music tours for bands like Slipknot, Slayer, Disturbed. I've traveled to fringe festivals around the world. It really has, like you said, changed my life. It's given me the life that I lead, and I'm very thankful for it.
And Eric, you're amongst friends here. You know, we're very live and let live, aren't we? But sort of honestly, are there any downsides to it at all?
You know, I think the downside is I know that, you know, sometimes I'm going to have a bad day. If I feel like I can't meet the negativity that I might encounter in the world with positivity, sometimes it'll make me want to stay home. You know, so there are days where, you know, you don't want to go out. But I often feel, too, that I'm in a sort of position where everybody remembers when they meet me, but it's hard for me to remember everybody I meet, right?
Sure.
So it's on me to always have a good interaction with people. I feel like there's a little bit of pressure there, which isn't really a downside. I actually like that because it forces me to try and be a good person. If I'm having a bad day, that's in the back of my mind, like, hey, don't be a jerk just because you're having a bad day, because these people will remember you forever as that green jerk.
Very good way of looking at life.
So it's a challenge to myself to be better.
Good for you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for sharing your story.
Nice
It's so interesting. Lots of love, Eric.
Bye.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Just wanted to say thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. Now, listen, we upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning.
My next guest was just 3 years old when he was struck down by sepsis back in January 2020. And after a 3-month battle in hospital, he was left with irreversible damage, resulting in both of his legs and 9 of his fingers being amputated.
However, 4 years later, brave William Reckless has gone from strength to strength, and he's just completed an incredible 4-mile challenge, raising nearly £8,000 for Nottingham Hospital charities.
To hear more about his incredible story, we're joined now by his mum, Gemma, dad, Mike, and sister, Georgia. And with a big round of applause, ladies and gents, please welcome to the studio, William! What's this for parking? Yeah, he does it better than I do.
That is
better than me.
William, that is so cool. This is your hand bike, isn't it?
Yeah.
Has it got a name? Have you named it anything?
No.
I feel like we need to find a name for the hand bike, because I know you're a big fan of the Transformers. The reason we've got you to come in on your hand bike is because you've just finished this incredible challenge. Will you tell us what the challenge involved, what you had to do?
I had to do a 2-mile walk and a 2-mile cycle.
God, 2 miles of both. Which was harder, the walk or the cycle?
The walking was harder.
What was hard about it? Did it just go on and on and on?
Yeah.
Did you have to do some serious training for it? What did you do? Did you have, like, a training plan that you did with your dad or your mum?
At weekends, we would go on walks and cycles.
Did you? And you started small and then got bigger and bigger and bigger for the challenge. And, Georgia, you did it too. You helped out as well. You're, like, William's biggest cheerleader. So did you do the whole race?
Yeah.
Did you?
What was the hardest bit for you, Georgia?
Mostly the walking.
It's the walking. It's a long way with little legs, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
But you crossed the finish line together. That's
Here's
not...
the lovely bit of footage of the guys doing this incredible, incredible challenge. Gemma, you must be so enormously proud of him.
Absolutely, yeah. So proud of them both, really.
If we can, let's go back, because, of course, sitting here with William, who's so full of life and so full of energy and fitness and health, is a really special thing. But I'd imagine 4 years ago it didn't feel like that. Tell us a little bit about when you first found out he was ill.
So he'd been generally unwell over the weekend, and we just thought he'd picked a bug up from nursery. Nothing specific, you know, he'd been sick, he was a little bit off his food, lethargic, and over the weekend he got gradually more poorly, and took him to the GP, and they thought he'd got a virus. And it was later that night that actually Mike saw a thing on the internet about scarlet fever doing the rounds, and we had the conversation of, should we leave him in bed? He's finally gone to sleep, he might just need some sleep. And I said, you know what, if he needs some antibiotics and we get him seen 12 hours quicker, that's 12 hours sooner he's going to get better. So we took him into our local hospital, and very quickly from there they picked up how poorly he was. And it, like, the room starts filling up, and sort of say, do I need to get my husband here? And they were like, yeah, like, he's very, very poorly little boy, and he had to be transferred to a bigger hospital in Nottingham that had paediatric intensive care, so...
And at that point, what's going through your mind at that point? Are people telling you what they think it could be, or are you just out of your mind with worry at that stage?
They'd been pressing a rash, constantly pressing a rash, and the doctor said to me, do you understand what's happening? And I said, he's got meningitis, hasn't he? And they said, no, he's got sepsis. And I said, what's that?
Yeah.
I had no idea what that was at that point. I just remember thinking, somebody wake me up. This is not happening. I was at home a couple of hours ago. This is not happening.
And William's condition deteriorated really rapidly, didn't it, when you went to the hospital?
It did. I think they realised how much he was struggling, and obviously children can mask it very well, and they said, we're going to have to put him into a coma to rest his organs and to give his body a chance. And then he was blue lighted to an intensive care unit in Nottingham.
Yeah.
And we couldn't travel with him. So as we got there, they came to get us, and they said, he's gone into cardiac arrest and we don't think we're going to be able to save him, so you need to come and be with him. And yeah, it's like your whole world just falls apart.
And it must feel all the more surreal now, because we're so many years later and we can see the big smile on his face and what he's just managed to achieve. I wonder, Mike, what it felt like for the two of you at that point to think, as Gemma was just saying, he had a fever, you'd finally got him to sleep, and then all of a sudden he's gone into cardiac arrest.
Yeah, we just couldn't believe it, really. I think we were just in denial for the first maybe 12 hours until his heart stopped, and then it was, this is serious. But yeah, just every parent's worst nightmare, really.
So he had to get through the operation, he had to make it through that. You'd been told to prepare for the worst. When did you realise that he was going to survive, he was going to be OK?
He'd been in a coma for about 8 days, and then they were able to extubate him. And at that point, one of the doctors, who had been very frank about the chances of him surviving this are very slim, came talking to me, and I said, oh, if he survives, and he says, no, not if, he will survive now. And I just burst into tears. It was like, he's going to survive, he's going to make it. And I remember running back into the room where all our friends and family were and saying, he's going to make it, he's going to make it. So it was 8 long days.
I bet it was. And what have been the challenges for you since then?
I think as parents, you worry about everything, especially when we first came home. You can't envisage what life's going to be like. And people show you Paralympians, but, you know, that's not real for everybody.
Because the reality, he survived, but you knew there was some amputation was going to have to happen in order for him to keep going.
It was a good 2 months before they could actually do the surgery to amputate. They wanted to let what was going to recover. So it wasn't until the March that he had his surgery. So yeah, it's just trying to picture how he's gonna cope from there. But the whole way through, William's just smiled and got on with it. He's never questioned why me. He's never complained. So we've had to sort of be led by William.
Yeah. William, do you remember much about? You were very young. Do you remember much about when you were ill?
No.
No. Do you remember being in the hospital at all? Didn't you watch The Lion King a lot?
Yeah, I just remembered the good bits, I think.
The good bits, enjoying The Lion King. No one telling him to stop watching it. Put the screen away.
Yeah, how many times have you watched it, do you think, Hakuna Matata? Quite a few, I'm guessing, right?
So when you think back then to what you went through, what you didn't know, the 8 days in the coma, a few months before the amputation, coming home, to think that he's just achieved this incredible challenge of a 2-mile walk and a 2-mile bike ride. That must be extraordinary.
Yeah, to be in a position like when we're in the family room, I remember seeing where other people had raised money for the hospital and just thinking, I really hope we can get to that stage where we can give back for all the kindness we were shown. And yeah, so to actually see him cross the finish line, to see him so fit and well, it was really emotional.
But he is, I mean, he's so amazing. Because obviously there are a whole new set of challenges that come with everything. He's just gone past your wildest expectations now.
Yeah, he gets on with everything. He's very active, he loves school, he's excelling at school, he's just a really happy little boy.
What's your favourite subjects at school, William?
Computing.
Computing, yeah, future programmer.
Yeah, he's going to be super
Mum and Dad will be
clever.
pleased about that.
Yeah.
Now, you're so brilliant at what you've done. You've been nominated, haven't you, for a Just Giving Award?
Yeah, this is all news to William.
This is all amazing. So you've been nominated for a Just Giving Award. So anybody that gets involved in Just Giving, they have these awards for amazing nominees.
There's 18,000 people, Ben, that are nominated in this.
But the big news is, not only have you been nominated, you've been shortlisted to be one of the award winners this year at the Just Giving Awards, which is amazing. You've been chosen by a lot of celebrity judges, including Amy Dowden and Ellie Simmons, Jake Quickenden, Ricky Hayley-Williams, Adele Roberts. They've known, so you're going to go into a big ceremony to see if you've won one of these awards.
One of the finalists.
For all that you've done for those Nottingham Hospital charities, which is great. And also, are you having a special day out today?
Yeah, we're off to the Natural History Museum.
Oh, like the dinosaurs and bits and pieces?
Got to see Andy's clock.
Well, the good news is we've been in touch with the Natural History Museum because we told them that you were coming on the show today and we wanted to celebrate you being here. And the lovely thing is we've managed to sort you out an exclusive VIP tour of the Natural History Museum.
Wow.
We know how much you love nature, so you're going to get complimentary access to their top exhibits, the Wildlife Photographer of the Year and Birds, Brilliant and Bizarre. So the guys down at the Natural History Museum are going to look after you and treat you like the VIPs that you are.
Thank you.
Amazing. Go and see the big whale. It's in the ceiling.
Yeah,
It's
so have a
amazing.
fabulous day. William, well done. Congratulations on this amazing achievement. Have you got plans for a new challenge at some point?
Well, you did one in June, didn't you? How far did you walk in June?
Did 5K in June.
5K, dude.
This is
Doesn't
just
stop.
the beginning.
Doesn't stop.
Right, this is just the beginning for certain sure.
Lovely to meet you all. Thank you for coming.
you.
to
Thank you.
Have a fabulous day as well.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
very
Thank
much.
you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning.
And up next, our next guest says that childbirth really took its toll on her body, but after struggling with a low libido, incontinence and a loss of sexual confidence, mum of 3, Gina Seago-Bodler, decided to take action.
After meeting women's health expert Dr. Sarah Jenkins, Gina opted for a new type of rejuvenation treatment known as the vampire vagina, which involves injecting a patient's own blood into their vagina.
Yeah, Gina says she's never looked back and joins us now to share her story alongside Dr. Sarah Jenkins, who's here to explain a little bit more about this type of treatment. Thank you so much for coming in,
Thank
Gina. It's
you.
lovely to meet you. Well, we'll find out a little bit more about what you've been through and the difference it's made in just a moment. Dr. Sarah, it sounds like the sort of treatment with the title and the name, it sounds sort of a little bit horrific. It sounds a little bit sort of self-indulgent. It sounds sort of, it doesn't...
Scary a bit,
Scary.
yeah.
But actually, when you hear Gina's story, what she's been through and the difference it's made to her life, you understand the fundamental importance of this for certain women.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, I'm all about empowering women to have good quality of life and to be able to manage medical symptoms that are associated with post-childbirth, with menopause and just being a woman, basically. So when people talk about vaginal rejuvenation or vampire vagina or vampire facelift, this isn't an indulgent treatment.
No.
This is actually managing medical symptoms that there is no other kind of treatment available for. So that's why I see so many women with very similar story to Gina. In fact, you don't even need to have children to have problems with incontinence and with vaginal atrophy and all those other associated symptoms that I treat.
So tell me about the actual treatment. How does it work and how do you do it?
OK. Little anatomy lesson, if you don't mind. So this is actually the vulva.
Yeah.
Okay, so when people say vagina, for a medical person, the vagina is actually the birthing canal.
Right.
Okay? So this is our vulva. We need to know our vulva. We need to check our vulva. When it comes to the treatment, we actually use tiny little Botox needles, so it wouldn't even hurt any more than Botox.
Okay.
And we inject into the clitoris, which is called the O shot, and then we inject all around the vagina, and that basically helps to rejuvenate the skin.
And what are you injecting?
You're injecting PRP, which is platelet-rich plasma. So you take your patient's own blood, and it's like this liquid gold, essentially. You inject it in. That sends signals to the body to say there's tissue damage.
Right.
And because of that, all of these lovely growth factors and all these healing things, cascade of things in your blood, comes along and causes collagen and elastin to be reformed. So it thickens that skin back up and also helps with natural lubrication. And it also helps to tighten a little bit where things have been made out of shape.
It's not as simple as just taking your own blood out and injecting it in. You have to go and spin it. You have to sort of separate it. And so there's a whole series of things that has to be done before it can be re-injected.
Yeah, and it can only be performed by medical practitioners that are correctly trained, because obviously, you know, it's an intimate examination. We have to be mindful of our patients and their story that they've been through, and we've got to safeguard vulnerable people.
Yes, absolutely. And Gina, this all started for you basically back in 2004 with the birth of your first child. Tell me what happened.
So Dara was born, you know, vaginally, but I had a third-degree tear.
Right.
So that was kind of like quite traumatic. And once I delivered, I was discharged home with a leaflet to say, you need to do some pelvic muscle floor exercises.
So it's basically take your baby, here's a leaflet, go and get on with it, essentially.
Yes, and nobody actually explains to me, you know, what they do and why I need to be doing it.
The importance of them,
Yes, and at that time, first child, you know, away from family.
You're just muddling through, trying to get everything okay.
And thinking people are emphasising you got to breastfeed, you need to make sure you're keeping yourself well, your child is looked after, so you've got the health visitor always on the door. And at that time, I didn't think about it. And before you know, again, I was pregnant.
Right. This time with twins,
With twins, yes. Right. And I didn't know I was pregnant, so it was kind of like a shock. And I was almost like about 11 to 12 weeks by the time I found out, because I already had a toddler, so things were quite busy. I just started a new job in a forensic unit where, you know, it's quite risky there, you know, for anybody, let alone to say that you're pregnant as well. So by the time they did some scans, they found out that one of the other baby wasn't growing properly.
Yes.
So I had all that stress to think what's going to happen. And I was having regular checkups with, you know, my obstetrician, who is amazing. And he had to kind of like seek for some more support because Ryan, the second twin, you know, just wasn't growing. So at 27 weeks, I had to deliver.
Yes.
And that was me going in and they said, we got to do something tomorrow. You got to stay in. I got a toddler at home. I've got a husband.
Yeah.
I haven't even prepared for the twins. And they were delivered and it was...
C-section this time?
Yeah, C-section, emergency C-section.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was quite traumatic in the sense that when the babies came out, baby A, it's a girl, baby B, it's a boy. And then 7 hours later, I had this entourage come in to say, what were you told? It's unfortunate we don't know what baby A is because he hadn't finished developing properly. So when he came out, you know, his organs were still forming. So they said it was on a Friday, and that was Friday when the 7/7 happened.
Right, okay.
So everyone was quite busy then. So they had to take, you know, some samples to take to Southampton Hospital, and we wouldn't know till Monday. So it was a weekend of just waiting and not knowing. And then on Monday, they finally came confirmed to say, no, he's actually a boy.
Okay.
So...
It's a lot of trauma, anxiety and worry and concern.
Yes. And straight after that, I think I stayed in hospital an extra week and I had pulmonary embolism and preeclampsia, which meant I had blood clots on my lungs. So just thinking I nearly died with the twins. So all that going on. at that time, then no one emphasized about pelvic exercises or anything. So it was all concentrating on what else was going on. And it was quite a difficult time, you know. Ryan had to be transferred to King's Hospital because his bilirubin level rose up, and it meant he was quite jaundiced. And I had to leave the other baby, Jaden, in Southampton with my husband.
Crikey.
Oh.
And, you know, the hospital was a massive hospital. And from then, I had a treatment plan from then. And finally, after 4.5 months of the back and forth in hospital, Ryan was discharged. And sadly, we took him back to King's Hospital for a checkup, and on our way back, he passed away in the car.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So you've gone through all this trauma
so
anyway.
much. Yes.
Physical trauma, emotional
Mental trauma.
It didn't stop. You have another child. Eventually got pregnant, had another child. At that point, though, Gina, so you've had these 3 births with all the trauma that's come with them, and suddenly you feel like your body is not your own. You're certainly struggling with what's happening for you physically as well. So why did you discover that this treatment was going to be the answer to what you were dealing with?
I think it's something I've always kind of like wanted to have done, because after the first birth, you know, definitely I just felt, you know, lost control, you know, in terms of like, you know, leaking, and most of the time always wanting to know where I can find the loo.
Bathroom.
And of course, you know, sexual intercourse, you know, when you start to lose that feeling, it's quite scary. And you also want to maintain a relationship with your partner. And I've got a loving husband, Kude. And, you know, it pains me, you know, it was kind of like quite difficult for me to see him, you know, encourage me, but I didn't have confidence in myself.
Yeah.
But he was kind of like quite encouraging, and met Dr. Sarah through work, and we always talked about, you know, women's health, and she always said to me, I will get there and I will find you.
Yeah.
And, you know, we'll find a treatment for you. So when last year she approached me to say she's found something, I was so excited.
And Sarah, you must see this all the time, this amazing change in women with this treatment. How does it change their lives?
Well, basically, like we were saying earlier, it gives women back their quality of life. Because if you're waking up thinking, how is my vulva behaving today? Like, is it going to be a bad day? How many changes of clothes do I need to take with me? How many pads do I need to wear? Are the pads that I'm wearing going to give me thrush? Am I going to get like a nappy rash, essentially? Where's the toilet? How do I do this journey? How do I get to work? Do I smell of urine? You know, these are all the things that women come and they say to me, and they don't need to have had a traumatic childbirth experience. They don't need to have had children at all.
And is all of that gone now you've had this treatment, Gina?
To be honest, you know, most of the symptoms, you know, have, you know, kind of like reduced. For example, like going to the toilet at night, I used to be up and down at
all
least,
night.
you know, 3, 4, 5 times.
Which then, of course, affects your sleep too.
And, you know, you're waking up, you're still feeling, you know, quite tired, and sort of like the dryness as well, you know, and I just feel that, you know, that sensation's come back, because I think it was after 2, 3 months I started to feel, you know, that, you know, something's actually changed. And I think maybe because I went in with quite a positive mind to it, because I just really wanted it, you know, to work. And I had, you know, I had my trust in Dr. Sarah, because I knew this is, you know, a medical person who's researched.
Yes.
And the way it was all done, you know.
And was also prepared to listen to you too. That's the other thing. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, ladies.
Sounds like you've got your smile back, and your husband, I'm sure, is enjoying it as well now. He's got his wife back, who's up there, and sort of, you know, that must be really, really important for the two of you. So thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you,
Sarah, it's good to see you as
Sarah.
well. Oh, hello. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.
All of that, a story about an extraordinary act of kindness when Kate Dickinson's healthy baby girl, oh, can you hear her, Mary, was just 1 month old. Her health began to deteriorate, and within days she was on life support with acute liver failure.
Yeah, doctors told Kate that finding a suitable donor for Mary would be like finding a unicorn's liver, so the family prepared for the worst.
But it was a total stranger, Holly Thorpe, who changed everything. Kate, Mary and Holly all join us now to share their story. Good morning, ladies. You are gorgeous.
Isn't she just delicious? Look at that smile.
Gorgeous. You are. So tell me a little bit about how it all started. Because you had her and she was perfectly healthy. And then what happened?
She was, yes. So she was fine for about 4 weeks. We were discharged from the hospital, the health visitor, everything. She was just a normal newborn baby girl, really. And then when she was about 4 weeks old, we noticed that her skin looked like it was changing colour. And then
going yellow?
Yeah, going yellow, yeah. And also, in hindsight, I now know that the colour of her nappies was changing, which I didn't realise at the time was a sign that something was wrong with her liver as well. But we just thought that, jaundice is really common. It's, it happens to a lot of babies.
Yes.
So... But we waited a couple of days and it got worse, and then the whites of her eyes went almost greeny yellow, and then at that point we took her to A&E. And when we took her there, she had some blood tests straight away, and then...
Thanks very much.
They showed up straight away that there was a serious problem with her liver.
Did you know? I mean, because seeing her, she's so curious and full of life now, and so vital. Did you notice any change in her energy and her temperament at all?
Not really, because she was only 4 weeks old, and I remember thinking that she was very, very sleepy. But then newborns are. Yeah. Newborns do sleep for most of the day anyway. But I think she was extra sleepy. Like she barely woke up, in that time. And then when she did, she would just feed and go straight back to sleep.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, I now know that was another sign, the lethargy as well.
So you got her into hospital, and she they quite quickly worked out that she had this issue, which I can't begin to imagine as a parent of a newborn, for you and her dad. That moment must have been absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, it was. I mean, at that point, we didn't know exactly the extent of it. We didn't know how serious it was. We were just told that we had to be transferred down to Leeds because that's a specialist centre for paediatric liver problems. So we were transferred to Leeds, and then, as soon as we got there and she had some additional tests, we were told that it was acute liver failure, which just... You don't expect to hear that about a newborn baby. You hear of liver failure in adults, but I'd never heard of it in children before, and it is quite rare. But they've never found a cause for it either. They say that in about half of cases, they never find the reason for it.
So they found a donor, first of all, but there was a problem.
Yeah, so after a couple of days, she deteriorated enough to qualify to be put on the transplant list. So she was put on the national super urgent list. And then within about 12 hours, there was an offer of a deceased donor.
Yeah.
But then when that arrived to the hospital, it just unfortunately wasn't the right shape or size for us, so they couldn't go ahead with it. And it was at that point when it was suggested to us by one of the surgeons that have we considered live donation. But it was a slightly more longer and more complicated process, usually, to find a living donor. And they hadn't done it before in an emergency situation.
Wow.
But it was our only choice, so we put an appeal out on social media to try and find somebody because nobody within the immediate family was suitable. It was too soon after giving birth for myself. My husband was physically too tall and too big. So we put an appeal out on social media with the criteria on, just hoping that in that time either another deceased donor would come through or we would find somebody.
But you were told, literally, you were told that it was like finding a unicorn's liver. That was the lengths it was going to be, the miracle it was going to be.
Yeah.
And then suddenly that miracle came along.
Yes.
In the shape of Holly. So you must have seen this appeal on social media.
Yes, I saw it. I was on holiday.
Right.
And I saw it and I kept it a little bit quiet to my family. Some of my colleagues shared it on social media. So it did take me a few days to think about it. And when I got home from holiday, I filled in a form, and
And you fit the criteria. They're quite specific criteria that it had to be, right?
Yeah, it had to be the correct blood group, and it was primarily about the size and my weight. So I think I needed to be under 50 kilograms to be able to donate.
And how do you broach that with your family when you say, look, I've just seen this this appeal on social media, and I feel like I might be the right fit to give part of my body, one of my organs, or part of my organs.
Yeah.
Vital organ.
I mean, that's quite a step, isn't it?
I think when I told my husband, he said, sleep on it, see what you think tomorrow. He wasn't surprised. He thinks I'm quite spontaneous. But this was taking it to another level.
Yeah, just slightly.
He was very supportive. He had his concerns, but he was supportive overall.
So then what happened next? What was the procedure like for you and how did it work?
So it was very quick. The next day after I'd sent my form, I was in for all the tests and the team were amazing. It was very slick. And the day after I was prepped for surgery, but it didn't go ahead that day because Mary needed some further tests, but the following day, so it was about 3 days in total from filling in the form to the surgery.
Just come back from holiday and all of a sudden you're having this operation where you're having part of your liver donated to a baby.
Yeah.
I mean, how were you feeling at this stage, Kate, when you've suddenly had this stranger seen this appeal?
By that point, Mary had deteriorated quite badly and she was on life support, essentially.
Yeah.
And we knew that she had probably a few days left to hang on, and we knew that if we didn't find somebody and it went ahead in that time, that we stood the chance of losing her. And it was a very real possibility. So it was... obviously, it was a really hard time. I don't remember a lot of that time, actually. But I do remember being told that somebody had been matched and just that feeling of who on earth is this hero, you know? And I know Holly hates us calling it that, but I remember that feeling of, you know, there's somebody out there doing this for our child and we don't even know them. And that feeling of, you know, I always say that in the worst possible time of our life that we could have experienced, we feel like we actually saw the best of people.
Human beings can be incredible. They can be terrible, but they can also be absolutely awe-inspiring and amazing. What was that moment like when you first all met each other?
It was quite a while after the transplant. So Mary had the transplant on June the 1st and we met at the end of November because when we were discharged at the end of June...
So you don't meet at all before?
No, it's completely anonymous. For, you know, for ethical reasons, to protect both sides.
I see.
And then both sides have got to agree that you want the microphone.
Yeah, you've got to make sure that everybody's happy to share their information.
So it was quite a while because when we came home, Mary had to isolate for 3 months to protect her from infection, and it's something we still need to be careful about now because of the drugs that she's on.
It was a really emotional moment.
It was. Yeah.
Did you walk into a room together? What was there?
So it was at St James's Hospital in Leeds, and David and I, my husband, we turned up and we were just really nervous. We were just really excited, nervous. We'd thought about and anticipated this moment for you know, nearly 6 months, and I just felt this overwhelming feeling of I just want to give her the biggest hug.
Yeah.
And we walked into a room. Holly was there, and I couldn't say anything. I couldn't speak. I just gave her a huge hug, and the love that we feel for Holly is just
by the way,
off the scale.
It's absolutely tangible. As you sit there on the couch, the three of you together, you can tell how much you love each other. And you're actually godmother now, Holly.
Yes.
What made you choose Holly?
We couldn't think of anybody better to ask. And also it was a gesture that we wanted to make as well. You know, it's just one way that we can say thank you. It's very difficult to be able to say thank you properly. There isn't really any gift or any words that we can, you know, that we can give to that would say thank you enough, because what she's done for us is just...
It's a miracle.
So unique.
And the NHS as well. I know that you want to thank the NHS because they've done some extraordinary work.
They were incredible, and we both feel like they went above and beyond to make it happen in the circumstances that we were. And she was, from start to finish, she was just looked after by the most incredible team, and still is looked after by them. So we feel incredibly fortunate, you know, even though what happened to us was really hard and really sad, we feel like we've come out of it with the best possible outcome.
Well, you have the most vibrant, curious, excitable little thing.
She is.
Bubbling away and smiling on your lap, which is so special. And I think, Holly, from your perspective, knowing that has come as a little bit of you in her, that just must feel extraordinary.
It's absolutely, it's probably, other than having my own children, it is the thing that I will forever be most proud of.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that I've been able to come into Kate's life as well, Mary.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're grateful that you came in and shared the story. It's been lovely to meet you. As you see, I think you've nicked Kat from me. She's completely Mary obsessed, who is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, she was an audience.
What an amazing team you ladies are.
Yeah.
An amazing team.
Wonderful
Thank
family.
you for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank
Oh,
you
hello.
so much.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.
Now, after making her acting debut in Biker Grove at the age of just 14, Jill Halfpenny has gone on to become one of the most recognisable faces on British TV.
But behind the scenes, she spent years struggling to process two major losses in her life, her dad Colin and her partner Matt, who both tragically died of heart attacks.
As she opens up for the first time about her battle to find happiness in the midst of grief, Jill is joining us in the studio to share her story. And it is a really sad story, for sure. But you also do this brilliant thing in the book, I feel, like if somebody was going through a similar thing and was right in the midst of all that grief and almost couldn't see the wood for the trees as to get, you chat to them like you're their friend and you talk to them like, here's how we're going to navigate this.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to do. I just wanted to help people. I wanted a book for people that were really struggling, with the loss of someone or something. And I wanted to say to them, this is what I did that helped me. And give them some context and give them some story about how I got there in the first place, but give them hope.
Yes.
It's really scary sometimes in the midst of grief. You have this loss of hope and suddenly everything that seems to come like into your future can feel quite despairing. And I just wanted to say to people, I get it, I know that feeling, but believe me, like there's things that we can do that I think can help us get through it. And thankfully I'm now at a stage in my life where I can feel hope again and I can feel joy again. But that doesn't mean to say I don't have my dark days.
Not.
But that's, I wanted it to be like something that people could hold on to, like you say, like a friend.
It's like the tone.
And why now, though, Jill? Why did you suddenly want to write it?
Honestly, I was having a conversation with my agent and she said, have you got anything going on in your head? Is there anything you want to do? And I literally had just found myself saying the words that day, yes, I want to write a book. I had been thinking about it, but you know when you just say something one day and you go, turns out this is it. And then we set the wheels in motion and I pitched it to my book agent. And it was just one of those things where I do kind of follow my instinct quite a lot. And I thought, well, I've said the words out loud. Now I need to put it into practice and I just need to write it.
Sometimes it's when you put it out in the world, it's like, and now I've said it, so now it is so.
Yeah, and it's scary, but it's good.
At the beginning of the book, you talk about losing your dad, and I think you were only 4 at the time. And from reading it, you very much get the impression that there was never closure for you. It was very kind of, grief was almost taboo and was hidden away, and not your mum was just trying to cope as best she could.
Yeah.
How did that affect you?
Yeah, I think that can happen. You know, it was 1979, it was the northeast of England. You know, we weren't sitting down with therapists. And we went into survival mode and we went into, come on, let's get on with it, let's do. So we just became like a big family of doers. We were just busy and we were productive and we got on with things. So externally, everything looked really good. But I think internally, we're all really struggling because sometimes you just really need to talk about how you feel. It's just as simple as that. And I think especially when you're little and you don't necessarily have the words, you need the guidance. You need someone to say, well, how are you feeling? Or maybe, you know, now with kids, they do a lot of art therapy, things like that. So I think what happened was I then became an adult. And I thought, wow, I've really skipped over a huge part of this process and I'm going to now have to go back and try and pick it up. But what was really difficult was grieving somebody that I didn't know a lot about.
Yes.
Couldn't really remember as well.
Couldn't really remember. It was really hard. But it's there if you search for it.
Yes.
If you connect with it and you connect with the feeling, it's always there. But you have to allow yourself to sit in those uncomfortable feelings and just be okay with not being okay for a while.
So when you tragically lost Matt, was that the moment where you sort of had to go back and unpick what had happened to your dad? Because there were so many similarities in the way that it had happened.
Yeah, I just thought, OK, this is awful, but this is my chance now. I'm cracked open. I'm raw. Let's go and do all the work that I hadn't done with my dad, and let's grieve them both together, and let's see what I can learn from it, and let's see if it can... In some ways, does this make sense? Set me free?
Yes,
you know.
it does.
So that's kind of what
there's a catharsis from doing it.
Yeah.
But going and doing that, I mean, from your family's perspective, you're being very personal and very open, but it's their grief as well. How did they find the process and you doing this? Were they nervous about you sort of delving and sharing some of these things, or did they actually get something from it as well?
Yeah, they were really generous and really good about it, and we sat down and we spoke about it. They all read the book before it went to print, so anything that they were uncomfortable with, but they weren't. We were all really aware that we kind of all separately and silently went off and did our grieving in different ways, and that there's never a wrong time to then come together and say, you know what, we all had the same dad, we all had the same experience, so let's share it. It's just sharing something, just feeling less alone, and there's just such great comfort in sitting down with somebody and just looking into their eyes and just telling them how you felt, or sharing memories. You know, my eldest sister shared some beautiful memories with me that she had about Dad, and she was like, you can have them now, and I was like, thank you, that's really nice, I will.
And they were memories that you hadn't heard before because you'd never sat down and talked about it?
No, and they weren't mine. There was some memories that she had of, like, playing Neil Sedaka and sitting in the car with them. And she was like, I want to give you these memories because I want to paint a bigger picture for you of what this man was like and what he meant to me. And so it's now like I have just a broader idea of who he was, and it makes me happy to have those memories.
Well, it's so funny because the minute you make those memories happy, because I know that your mum only had one picture of your dad, but there's a picture here of Matt and your little boy, Harvey, when he was little. And can you tell me what was going on in this picture?
Yeah, so we'd not long been going out, and we went for a Sunday roast in some bougie pub in central London, and we all ordered sticky toffee pudding.
Yeah.
And me and Matt, you know, tucked
right
into
in.
ours, and we had no problem finishing it. And Harvey was like, you know, I'm too full, I can't finish mine. I was like, that's okay. And Matt said, well, I'll have the rest of yours, Harvey.
Yeah.
And he just looked at Matt, and then he looked at me, and he just spat into the dessert. And I was so shocked. That was like a total...
Because it was quite a new relationship,
It was
wasn't
like,
it?
you know, you've got my mum, you're not going to take my pudding as well. And I was...
He was marking his territory.
I was shocked, yeah. But, you know, we laughed about it afterwards, and, you know, they had a really good relationship, actually, but it was, things like that, you know, they'll always be with me and they'll always stay with me, and it's, like... Once you've processed your pain, I think you can look back and remember your loved ones with a smile and with a lightness in your heart. And like I say, that doesn't mean to say that every day's a good day. It's certainly not. But I think grief work is something that maybe people don't realise, that you can actually do work to process it. You don't just have to think that you live with something and you don't know what to do with it. And in the book, I sort of explain the things that I did to help me through it.
We do phone-ins about grief occasionally with Deirdre, and it's always so painful to listen to somebody going through the loss, an immediate loss of a child potentially, or a partner, and the sense of bleakness. Because they can't feel like they're ever going to get to the point where you are, Jill, where you can look back and those memories actually bring them warmth and joy rather than pain and anguish. So what are some of those things that you would suggest people can do if they're watching today and they're struggling?
I mean, one of my mantras, especially on a day that I'm struggling, is get out of your head and into your body. And that's, for me, exercise. And that could take on any form for anyone that's listening. Whatever you do that stops you from living here in your head, because grief is so much about what ifs, shoulda, woulda, coulda. So just get out of your head and into your body just for 45 minutes or an hour, and just allow your brain to slow down. And just allow those thoughts to just dissipate slightly. So that's one. Another one is I really practice gratitude now. Like, I send a gratitude list to my friend, 2 of my friends every night, and they send me one back.
Oh,
and
good.
in the worst days after losing Matt, I just couldn't imagine being grateful for anything, and I would find myself having to write this list of 10 things, and I would, I had a nice cup of tea. Harvey seemed to have a nice day at school. And it was the tiniest things, but gratitude is like a muscle, and you have to work it. And what you realise is, when you work that muscle, suddenly there's just so much to be grateful for all the time.
Brilliant.
So there's two
really
little
simple
things. Really simple, they don't cost money.
No.
And it's just little things like that. But it is a practice, and it is something that we have to do for ourselves.
Well, it's a brilliant book. It's practical. The tone is lovely. It's like having a friend who gives you the best advice. Her book is out now, A Life Reimagined. Jill Halfpenny. Well,
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning.
Now we've got an extraordinary story for you. Our next guest was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis at just 4 months old. She was told, or her parents were told, that she probably wouldn't make it into adulthood.
Well, fast forward to today, and Sophie Holmes has surpassed all expectations. Now 32, she's just set a new world record for running 36 marathons in 36 days.
I mean, it's simply ridiculous.
I mean, it's ridiculous. And she looks like that, and she's like, it's no big deal.
And when she runs, she always looks like that as well. I know Sophie, and I'm very, very proud to call her a friend.
Aww.
She's here alongside Dr. Zoe as well, who explained a little bit more about CF. Firstly, congratulations on the 36 in 36. It's an incredible feat. We'll come to that in a bit. I want to go back to when you got your diagnosis, or when your parents got the diagnosis as well. What was the implication for them? Was there CF in the family before that?
No, so they'd never even heard of it before. And so for them, because I was diagnosed at 4 months old, it must have felt like bringing up a baby to die. Like, you know, they got told I wouldn't make 16 years old, that I'd spend most of my life in hospital and would never achieve anything compared to like a normal person.
And so then what happened next? Because I know you weren't very well then, but around 19, was it?
Yeah, so growing up before then, I was very much like, I don't know what the problem is. Like, you know, I've had lots of medications, 80 tablets a day, all these things. But I was like, do I have CF? Because compared to what I was told.
Right.
And then when I was 19, due to a series of events, I did become really unwell, and the doctors were like, you know, it could be only a couple of years if it carries on at this rate.
Just you sort of... You just quickly grazed over the amount of tablets you take a day, and this has always happened. I think so. I've done a lot of work with Cystic Fibrosis Trust. I've met some amazing people with CF and the people that do it. But trying to understand what the daily routine for someone with CF is really quite jaw-dropping. So just talk us through what that would be for a child with CF, Sophie, or even yourself now.
Yeah, so today is obviously very different, which we can touch on later. But before then, it would be get up in the morning, do physio, 2 or 3 nebulizers, tablets, and for a lot of people this repeats at lunchtime and in the evening. So we're talking a good few hours a day without even starting your day or doing the things you've got to do. And every time, even now, I eat, I have to take digestive enzymes to digest my food, to absorb the food, to get what I need from it. So, you know, it's a hard life, but obviously I don't know any different, and I think that's the key. But for children growing up, you know, you don't really understand, but you do what you've got to do because you're kind of told if you don't, then there'll be serious implication.
But you kind of chose to have this incredibly kind of negative diagnosis, and you went, you know what? I'm not going to choose to live like. I'm going to set myself some challenges, and I'm going to do amazing things. And I think that's what's so incredible about you. What made you choose to do that? Because it's hard.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me wrong. Like, I still have those days where I'm like, oh, can I do this? Or, you know, no motivation. But for me, I've only got one shot.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do everything I could. And if, you know, what they were saying was true, I wanted to make the most of the years that I had to experience life. And so when I was told I may not have too long, I drew up a very long bucket list, and despite all, went after it. And actually, it's the fitness and the training and everything like that that I do believe has helped save my life.
Lockdown was extraordinary because we did some workouts together, and you did a marathon on your front lawn.
Yes, it was part of an at-home Ironman.
At-home Ironman. By the way, your front lawn is probably about as wide as this carpet.
It was 50 metres, and it was 842 laps.
Backwards and forwards.
Yep.
You on your bike, on your turbo trainer in the
Yep.
front room.
Yeah.
And the swimming?
Well, I do live on the sea, but unfortunately I didn't do the swim because obviously when lockdown happened, I got told not to leave my house.
Because you had to be shielding.
So I was shielding,
Yes,
didn't leave a
course.
one-bedroom flat for 17 weeks.
It's an extraordinary thing. So, OK, so look, we've established that you've got this incredible mental strength. But where did the idea for 36 and 36 come from?
Well, it actually came... Here we go. So it actually came in lockdown. So being told that I wouldn't make 30, I was like, right, I'm going to make 30 and I'm going to make a meal out of it because I'm going to enjoy and celebrate the fact... Because I think most people get terrified to reach 30, but for me, I was like, no, it's a huge milestone and I'm going to go after it. And so I actually turned 30 in lockdown. And of course... Typically, I couldn't do anything about it, but the original idea was I'm going to run 30 marathons in 30 days and I'm going to finish on my 30th birthday and it's going to be a huge celebration because I'm alive and I'm healthy. But lockdown happened, so I thought, maybe not now, but it's going to happen. And then last year, a friend of mine was like, oh, come and run the Edinburgh Marathon. I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I've never been to really Edinburgh, so why not? And then I got into the London Marathon for the CF Trust and I thought, hang on a minute, how many days are between these two races? And I thought, what's an extra few when you're going to be running that many?
Oh, my goodness.
So you start in London, you finished in Edinburgh,
Yeah.
it's 36 after 36. I mean, it's extraordinary, Zoe, listening to Sophie talk about this, because she makes it sound really easy.
Yes.
It does. I mean, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
Even if you had full lung capacity and you were healthy.
If you had no chronic illness whatsoever, to do one marathon, I think is an incredible achievement. To do 36 is exceptional. But for Sophie, with an underlying chronic disease such as cystic fibrosis, you know, which one of the organs it affects is your lungs, it's outrageous, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I'm in absolute awe and admiration, and I think Sophie is such an incredible role model to other people who have chronic illnesses, and actually to all of us that don't, as to when you overcome something and put your mind to it, just what you can achieve. I think what's really interesting about what Sophie said there is that she said how this lifestyle has potentially saved her life. And we know that with CF, you know, exercise really must be part of the treatment for CF because it helps you in so many different ways. You know, it helps keep hold of your lung capacity. It helps clear that mucus. So one of the main symptoms of CF is that mucus secretions are thicker and therefore it's difficult for the body to release them, to get rid of them, and therefore they can harbour infection. So exercise, anything that gets your lungs working at their full capacity helps to clear those secretions. And I was chatting to Sophie earlier and she said even when she is unwell, she brings, you know, she really scales it back, but will still exercise because it can actually help alongside the physiotherapy that people with this condition need to have. So hopefully there'll be people out there watching today who will think, you know, I've been wrapped up in cotton wool my whole life because I have this illness, and now I'm going to go out there, I'm going to start off gradually, build it up slowly, but I'm going to take on this exercise because it can help the condition, it can help prolong life, it can help mental health, social health, every aspect of health. So.
And parents, there'll be parents watching as well that may have just had a diagnosis. To see you, Sophie, it's so inspiring for them. It's such a huge thing. Thank you for coming in. What's next?
Oh, do you know what? This is such a big question.
You're still working on it.
No, I know what's next. This is the problem, but it can't be for a while. And also, I think my friends, family and boyfriend would probably leave me. So I decided to go after it. But in a couple of years, there is something I want to go after partly because when I read about it, there's actually only 36 people who have finished it.
Wow.
36?
Well, that sets you apart. It seems to fit.
Yeah.
Sophie, thank you for coming in.
Thank
It's
you.
brilliant to see you, and we'll continue to watch you, of course, and work with you. Oh, hello. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.